So, hello and welcome. I take over the driver's seat today to interview the wonderful Jo Soley, founder of Bizology and chief bizologist, who is here to, we're going to go and dive in. We're going to find out more about Jo. We're going to find out more about Bizology. We're going to find out all the nitty gritty bits and the bits that perhaps you don't know. So, Hi, Jo.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really well. Are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thanks for doing this.
Total pleasure. And first of all, I was just thinking when I made a brew before, numerology is interesting, but bizology is fascinating. There is a distinct difference. You know, I find numerology incredibly interesting and you can find out loads about yourself, but that shift into bizology, into the practicalities for entrepreneurs, into understanding yourself, that is fascinating. Tell me a little bit about how you would describe bizology.
Thank you, thank you. So you're right, numbers are fascinating, numerology is fascinating, but the way you show up, Emma Holmes, to the way I show up, Jo Soley, is very different. Because numerology is based on the concept of uniqueness. Now, we're quite similar because we're both working with the energy of the number one. But in business, nobody's come up to you with a little paddle saying, Emma, you're a life path one. And what being a life path one means is you're here to be self-employed. You're here to do something different. You're here to be innovative. You're here to be a thought leader. You're here to be original. But that is all under the level of consciousness, okay? So we don't actually wake up going, right, we're going to be a business owner, and I know that I need to be all these one things, which is unique, which is innovative, which is original, which is dynamic, and that will really help me get the results in my business. So what numerology does is numbers show you the symbology, they show you the abstract information, they show you what's going on in terms of the energetics. But what Bizology does is take that information, take the energy, take the innateness, take the fundamentals, and then put that into real term to say, okay, as a business owner, Emma, this is what you're here to do in business. As a business owner, Jo, this is what you're here to do in business. But there's 7.9 billion people in the world. So saying that we're both life path ones is like saying you're Taurus and I'm Aries. It goes deeper than that. So Emma's born on the 5th of the 5th. I'm born on the 4th of the 4th. So there's numbers that are easy to be. There's numbers that we were in a previous life. There's none that can trip us up because they are familiar. There's numbers that we want to be in our lifetime. So just because we're a life path one, that's like the first number out the gate. It goes a lot deeper than that. So you'll hear me and you'll see me talk about life path number a lot on social media, in my podcasts, in my blogs, but the magic happens at the deeper level because that shows you the uniqueness. So we're both life path ones, but the way you, Emma Holmes, is a life path one is to use the 5. Change, freedom, adventure, gorgeous t-shirts, like say it how it is energy. And the way that Jo Soley uses it is for control, routine, systems, structure, application, but we are the negative of our numbers. So I have to be careful not to be a workaholic or too much of a dog with a bone. And with that 5, you have to be careful not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, not to change for the sake of change, because the rolling stone gathers no moss, and in life, moss is the lessons. So does that make sense? Numbers show us the top line energy, but Bizology shows us what life path we are. And when I say life path, that's 75% of what we're here to do in business. It's also called your destiny number. I don't call it that because it sounds woo-woo enough bringing numerology into business, but it's that, it's your destiny. But it's easier for Emma to be 5. It's easier for Jo to be 4, but we don't want to stay there. So we don't want to be the builder who leads, or Emma doesn't want to be the adventurer who leads, although she might like to. We want to be the leader who has adventure, the leader who builds. Okay, so that is, and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And if you've got a number, you've got it for a reason. If you haven't got a number, you haven't got it for a reason. So then you can, as Oscar Wilde says, be yourself because everyone else is taken, because you're here to do a job. So, and your job is found in your numbers.
So essentially it's your DNA, isn't it? It's creating that DNA that gives you your own uniqueness. So like you said, that, you know, there's millions of people in the world who don't just slot into 12 categories of the, you know, this or this. It is then that there are so many, there's an infinite number of different combinations of those numbers that create that uniqueness. So there's so many different ways that the DNA is created, or that fingers are, you know, you would say that there's only so many ways, surely, that fingerprints can go around somebody's finger, but every single one of us has a different one, and no two are the same. So essentially, whilst numerology gives you a real broad brush top level of what each number means, Bizology is distilling that into unique DNA for an entrepreneur to be able to channel into their business.
Definitely. And what a lot of my clients say is that it gives you permission to be yourself, right? So like I said, if you've got a number, you've got it for a reason. You know you're here to do a certain job in the world. You feel there's a mission in you. You see there's a path ahead of you, but like nobody's come up with a little yellow post-it note saying you're working with the energy of the number 1, you're here to be a leader, and the way you do that is 5. Because we're not taught that we're different. We're not taught that we're unique. We are taught cookie cutter approaches, but they don't work. So that's why I don't really have a group program. I have a membership after you know your numbers, but like you, I get the better results working with people one-to-one because we're all different.
Yeah, and there's that just complete uniqueness in each and every individual. And I think what's interesting is in the entrepreneurial space, there's a lot of shoulds. There's a lot of take this step, and everything will be a success. There's all do this thing and you will make a gazillion pounds. And people get really frustrated that it didn't work for them. Well, it won't work for them because they're not bringing the right energies to the things. Yeah, there's ways of doing things, but you equally need to do things with your energy. And if you're constantly stifling your uniqueness, then nothing's ever going to work, is it?
Yeah, definitely. So we know we need a message. We know we need an ideal client. We know we need a package staircase. We know we need content. And then over time, perhaps we need a membership. Perhaps we need a group. Perhaps we need a podcast. Perhaps we need a blog, right? We know we need all these things at some point, depending where you are, okay? But the way you do it is dependent on your numbers. So like I say, if you've got a number, you've got it for a reason. You and I both don't have 6 in our immediate chart, right? 6 is about love, relationships, family. Doesn't mean we can't be in a loving relationship. It's just groups and community and connection. In a group, we're a one, we're a leader, we're better on our own, we're better getting on with it. We can lead a group, we don't need to be part of a group. So I used to be in loads and loads of groups, even like family and things like that. Like, it doesn't come naturally to me. Fine, it's not meant to because I haven't got it. I've probably worked on that in previous lives. I'm not here to work on that this lifetime. 49, never married, no kids, because it's not in my like you say, it's not in my DNA, it's not in my path, it's not in my chart. I'm here to bring something crazy and wacky into the world, hence Bizology, and it will work for me. So when I was self-employed, but you're not the number next to you, and I was trying to help other women run their business. I was being the power behind the throne. I was like pushing other women forward, but that wasn't working for me, because I'm here to be their leader. I'm here to be the power on the throne.
But the funny thing is that you still do that now.
Yeah.
But through a different channel and medium,
yeah,
of empowerment rather than of pushing.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not hidden. So I'm still there, I'm still helping people, but it's more one-to-one, it's not in groups, and I'm not like a VAPA event organizer, and shining a light. So that wasn't really working for me, because you're not the number next to you, and that is very two. Seeing both sides of the story, partnership, team, detail, So then I was self-employed, but it wasn't until Bizology came in, which is when I met you about a year after, then everything, kind of the cosmic tumblers aligned. And then from that place, I increased my bank account, because money's just a byproduct of your alignment. And the more aligned you are in life, the more money you make. So if you make it about the money, it's not going to happen. Okay, especially if you haven't got 8 in your chart. But if you make it about what you're here to do in the world, and your numbers will show you what you're here to do in the world and what you're here to do in business, then you can move forward from that place.
So there may be people that are listening to this, that are watching this, that are going, so yeah, I have a business and I have a model and I'm doing the things, but it's not quite clicking. That could be, as I'm going to use the word simple, but probably the wrong word, as it's not aligned with them from a numeric stance in its totality.
Yeah, definitely. So that's right, simple. So take the phrase at 6s and 7s. If you're a 7 life path, which is the queen, you can't rush the queen. It's Stephen Hawking's very clever. They say his body was so powerful, his brain was so powerful, his body gave up. Marilyn Monroe, kind of Winston Churchill, Freddie Mercury, different quirky 7 energy, right? You're not the number next to you. So 6 is not 7 and 7 is not 6. Hence the phrase at 6s and 7s, okay? So if you're a 7, you're here to seek, learn, think, question, ask. Look at how we use 7 in life, right? 7 wonders of the world, 7 levels on the tree of life, 7 candles on the menorah, Secret 7, 7 Chronicles of Narnia, Blake 7. It's all, 7-year itch when you've had enough, because 7 is about a bit of space. So this is 7 chakras, 7 days of the week, 7 notes on the musical scale. So every number tells a story. So if you're working with the energy of the number 7, and you'll need a bit of space and you'll love to learn, and the more you learn, the more you earn. And you're doing 6 things, which is running a group, maybe going networking, hanging out in groups, running group programs, then you're going to lose the will to live, because you're not being the 7, which is time out and space and learning and getting in nature and really thinking things through. Be careful not to procrastinate. We are the negative of our numbers. But can you see that analogy? So you're not the number next to you, and you've got the energy of phrase at 6s and 7s. So if people don't really appreciate, they might know they're a life path 7, but what does that mean for their business? What does that mean for their life? So if they're tying themselves up in knots and doing the opposite of it, then they're going to feel out of alignment. They're going to feel a bit scratchy. They're not going to be feeling fulfilled. They're not going to feel like they're running their business purpose. They're not going to feel creative. Their profitability won't be there. Money probably come in and go straight back out again. And they're not going to feel like they want to be there. So So this is how, like you say, how simple it can be. And I've got clients who are 7 life paths, born on the 6th, for example, so they want a bit of both, but we manage how that happens. So it can be as simple as that, literally.
Yeah, so you could be doing the right thing but in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Or you could be doing the wrong thing but in the right way.
Yeah,
and actually this DNA code that is the essence of Bizology is essentially the essence of your business as you, not as anybody else, will help you to navigate what that needs to look like. It's the practical application of numerology to create a successful business.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the kickstart point. That's the catalyst, the life path. But then one thing I'd like to just talk about now is that there's 9-year cycles, and there's better years and easy years to do things. So we know, like Emma's a business coach, and she has been for over a decade. We know that running a business brings up all of your stuff, right? It's the Olympics for personal development, okay? Comparatinitis is a big thing. But and we're taught hustle, push, go. And, the comparatinitis thing, we can, like, everyone's here, but we're comparing our chapter 1 with their chapter 21. Mm-hmm. So, but some years you're not meant to go. Some years you're not meant to push. Some years you're not meant to hustle, because the tide is out. So sometimes the tide is in, sometimes the tide is out. So if you try to go swimming on a beach and the tide's out and there's a bit of seaweed, you don't have much fun. If you try and go swimming on the beach and the tide is in and it's gorgeous, deep blue seas and you can see the fish, you have a lot of fun, right? So the soil is fertile for different things at different times. So think of the wheel of life. It's got different spokes through the wheel of life, little cheese segments, yeah? So one cheese segment's about relationships, one is about spirituality, one's about money, one's about family, one's about your corporate social responsibility, one's about your travel, etc. This is like the years. So 1 year is about new things, 1 year is about spirit, 1 year is about having a laugh, 1 year is about building something of value, etc. So if you're in a personal year 4, for example, nothing's happening quickly, the universe is shining a light on anything weak in structure, you need to get your ducks in a row. You can be panicking, like, what's happening? You might be in a 7 year, no one's ringing you back. You might be in a 9 year, it's about endings, because nature works in cycles and we have to too, because we need the ebb, we need the flow, we need the growth, we need the consolidation. You can't bat 100 all the time. It doesn't happen, it doesn't work. So
and that also channels down to months as well, doesn't it? So you can have a personal year, but you can also have, the better time to do things in terms of months of the year too.
I'm in an 11 month at the moment. It's quite intense, because 11 is intense. So we've got so we've spoken about life paths, we've spoken about personal years, but you might be a life path 1, but if you're in a 9 year, you don't want to do anything too new, because when you get to your 1 year, it will feel old. So this is what it is, using the cosmic currents, because there's better years and easier years to do things, better months and easier months to do things, better days and easier days to do things.
And that is, it gives you that practical application, and it gives you that window into what you need to be focusing on, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think is the most impactful thing that people get from finding out their numbers with you?
So the old adage, people do business if they like you, know you, trust you. Most people don't know who they are, right? So this is such a powerful understanding, a tool to understand who they are. So they stop, because what they say, what they do, what they think, it can be 3 completely different things. So then it's like, oh my God. And I always say to people, right, there's going to be 3 responses when we do your session. One, you'll be like, yeah, Jo, know that, know that, know that. One will be, well, yeah, no, you say it. I didn't think of it like that, but now I've seen it written down. Then I can see how that plays out. And then the other thing would be, no way. But when you try it on for size, then you get it. Because essentially we are the negative of our numbers. Everything else is just guidance. So we want to make sure. So as a life path 1, you and I can be all about speed. Quick, do, speed. But the day you plant the seed isn't the day you eat the fruit. So we have to watch that. We can sometimes be a bit me, selfish, because we don't realize other people aren't. We need to make our life about us. From that place, we make it about other people, but there's always that polarity. There's always that flip. So we have to watch that. So when you know that you have to watch the negatives and pull them up like weeds in a garden, then we can move forward from that place.
And I think that's really interesting to say, you know, that you started there with the know, like and trust piece, and people don't know themselves. And ultimately, I always say, but you know, projection equals perception. So what you project out of there is what people can perceive of you. And therefore, if you're creating a projection that isn't in alignment with who you are, then you are creating a perception based upon that, which then again creates a further misalignment. So having that just being a little bit out all the way along the line creates it being a big bit out by the end.
Yeah, so I always ask my clients for their intentions before the session. And one lady who, so she's in her 70s now, and she's done a lot of work on herself. She's a 1 like us, but she's got a 7 approach, so she's learning, and like written books, you know, real seeker. She said she wanted to find that true north. You know, and I thought that was a great analogy. It's just that compass, just a few little degrees, just to give you that alignment.
Yeah, and it can, like we said, it can be tiny, but it might be huge. It might be that realization that you are actually just on the wrong path.
Exactly. So what I'd have as part of the sessions is a slide full of words to pick the number, and I say, right, out of these words, please tell me which ones resonate and which ones don't, which ones you're like, how Jo, yeah, which ones not so much. And most people are 90% there, but if they were like 40%, 30%, that's not me, I know I've got a bigger job to connect them to their number. That's still playing out, but they'd definitely be in the negative of it.
So when we look at this understanding, it's one thing to know. Where does it impact?
So, well, I personally have seen Bizology impact through, so this is what it is. Numerology is then into the business. So then your message, it impacts. Your ideal client, it impacts. Your package staircase, it impacts. Your content, like how you show up, you know, all of these things, it impacts. Your life, you can't have one without the other. You know, your business is integrated into your life. Your creativity, your productivity, your profitability, there's that knock-on effect for everything when you understand yourself better. So what a lot of my clients do, they work with me understanding their numbers, then we work on their business. So if you're a 9, it's service over success, impact over income, the whole way. You have to make your life about other people, and then from that place you make it about you. But if you haven't got boundaries, if you're undercharging, if you're not looking at the vision, if you don't have a mission, then that's not going to work. So we have to look at you first, your life path, 4 other numbers, your personal year, personal month, name, and then look at everything that goes into the business from that place. And also your business is alive. It's got its own Akashic records. It attracts and repels like we do. So in a solopreneur situation, when someone's just started off, then their numbers run the show. But as your numbers, as your business grows and it gains hold and it has more clients, maybe premises don't have to have, even if you've got an office in the house or a desk in the house, as you've got social presence, as you've got blogs, you know, and an online footprint, then your numbers will start running the show, because your business has a brand and a flavor and a color and a style, and it attracts and repels like you and I attract and repel. So Bizology is a 4. So, you know, that's, but I know it's going to be of value to people.
Yeah, and all of that, I think what is really important is that it impacts how you project. So if we look at messaging, etc., it's that projection piece. Pricing, social media, how you create your content, why you create your content, how you share your content. It's down to how you attract people to your business. It's works with your profitability. So as you pour in that knowledge of Bizology into the business, that then impacts every single area.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, visibility, resilience, how you show up and shine on social, like how you manage your finances, everything. Should
every business owner know their Bizology blueprint?
Well, yeah, I think so, definitely. I think it will save them a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of money. I think it will stop them putting round pegs in square holes. I think it would stop them trying to chase, like this, what's that phrase?
Chase 2 rabbits and catch neither.
What's like chasing this dream that potentially might not be theirs because they're here to do something else, you know? And yeah, we can have gurus and we can have mentors and all of the rest of it, but at the end of the day, your decision has to be yours based on your numbers.
Yeah. And so it, you know, it can absolutely give back that real sense of identity. It stops you second guessing everything. It gives you more clarity on your approach to things and how you do certain things. It also aligns you to the correct strategy for your business, because not every strategy out there is going to be a great strategy for a 1 or for a 4 or for an 8 or whatever it might be. You can look then at the whole setup and work with yourself rather than against yourself all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And also, like, well, I've touched on this today, but like with me not having any 6 in my chart, that we choose our numbers before we come down. We choose what we're meant to work on. Okay, we're here to learn, and you can see what you're here to learn in your numbers. So if I tried to make my business all 66666 energy, which is like maybe like this big Italian family energy, that's not going to work for me. Doesn't mean I have to be Billy No Mates, but I'm very, very, very good on my life. On my own. I remember saying to you when we went into the pandemic, I think I've always self-isolated, right? Because ones are good on their own. So if one is in a big family, then they're going to need a bit of space on their own every day. And I know that you go for your morning walk. You know, it's that awareness piece.
Yeah.
Because we're like social media, we're told what to think. We've given everyone's highlight reels. We've only see like that much. We don't see what goes on in their lives. And we just see this like little bit. And then it's like, oh no, if I'm not having bottomless brunch and hanging out with these people, then I'm missing out. No, you're meant to do business your way.
Absolutely. Excuse me. So if somebody came up to you and said, tell me, why should I invest my time, effort, energy, attention, money into finding out my numbers? What would your response be?
So people say that to me, like, what's the takeaways? What's the results? What's the outcome? Because it's quite subtle. And a lot of the time, you know, you sign up to maybe work with an SEO manager because you know you're going to get SEO working. You work with a web copy designer because you want new web copy. You work with a Facebook ad manager because you want Facebook ads, right? The results of understanding your numbers increases your numbers. Bottom line. You're going to make more money, you're going to be more profitable, you're going to be happier, you're going to feel in alignment because you understand who you are. And when you understand who you are, you can stop doing all the things that you've been doing that you shouldn't be doing. It's not a one and done, it's a journey. It takes time. You know, you don't just go onward one, that's it. You know, and there's lots involved. It's not as complicated as some of these modalities, but you know, your name is important. There's other numbers, etc. We won't talk about everything and give away the farm today, like you say, stick them on a horse and take them around the stables. But you can see what, you know, what's going on.
Absolutely, and essentially it'll grow your bottom line, but also it's just going to make life so much easier, isn't it?
Exactly, because it was painful for me to hang out in groups. It was painful for me to try and be part of these big connection energies, right? Doesn't mean that I don't care. It's just I can lead a group. I don't need to be part of a group. And then just taking that away is like, oh, it's just a relief. So then you can focus on the things you'll hear. And also, like, I cannot see the bigger picture, right? As all Life Path 1, both of us will not be good at vision. And that's fine. So what we have to do is next, following the energetic business breadcrumbs that the universe gives us. If you see my desk, it's lists and post-its, next. But, you know, you're taught business plan, you're taught strategy, you're taught like 5 years. No, next works for me. Now, most Dragon's Den, can you imagine? Like, what? Where's your plan? But this is a treasure map. You don't need a business plan.
You know, I used to get really frustrated when I first started in business. Everybody talked about, let's have a vision board. Yeah. I was like, what? It's not about things, and vision boards always seem to be like, I want this house and I want this car and I want this holiday and you know, it was more about feeling rather than things. But also it was like, well, I don't know, what am I supposed to put on there? What does that even mean? Yeah, and if I'd written a plan 5 years ago that went up to today, well, we've had 3 years of nonsense.
Exactly.
I'd have wasted my time creating that plan, because 3 years of nonsense has meant that plan would have had to deviate. Yeah. But I don't want to spend time on that.
So some numbers do need a plan, like 8s and 4s, they will need more of a plan. 11s need a direction. We'll have to come back and do another one of these just about the number 11 because it's massive. But for us, we just literally can't do it. So that, like, imagine again the relief. So the first relief is I don't need to be part of a group. The second relief is it's good going next. Just watch the speed, watch the selfishness, watch the impatient energy. Because we're here to jump over a mountain, then look behind us. Mm-hmm. And look at the ones in the world. Like, you know, it's no secret I'm a big Mike fan, Stormzy. He's just literally got an honorary doctorate from Exeter University. And I temped to Exeter Uni while I was setting up my business. My degree was from Bournemouth. But so he's very one. He is his brand. Lady Gaga, very one. She is her brand. Stacey Dooley, she, you know, says it how it is. James Corden, Steve Jobs, I know he's passed now, but if you got all this one energy in the room, you'd see it. Versus the two energy, Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Aniston, Barack Obama, David Beckham, it's different.
Calmer energy. Woof energy. Calmer energy.
Because we're the magician, they're the high priestess, if we were to use the tarot as an analogy. And birds of feather flock together. Like, I love Gaga, Stormzy, Stacey Dooley, James Corden. Like, doesn't mean I can't love other people, but you feel them on a different level.
Well, we know that about you and Stormzy.
Yeah,
big mega fan.
Yeah.
So, to give people some takeaways, to give people something that, you know, creates a little bit of a spark, what would your big takeaways be for people?
With regards to
Bizology generally.
Okay, so know your life path number. That's 75% of what's going on, but there's other numbers that are easier to be that you'll be hanging out in. So your life path number is your friend. And
you can do that on your website, can't you?
Yeah. So if you go to my website, josoley.com, there's an app which you can download. Then what we want to know is what personal year you're in. Is the tide in? Is the tide out? I've got an app for that, josoley.com. I've got a group, Your Brilliance in Numbers. There's 1,200 people in there. And it's a safe space because it's a closed group and you can ask questions that you might not want to ask on Jo Soley Bizology on Instagram or Bizology with Jo Soley, my Facebook group, or on LinkedIn. So that's a good space. But if you're curious, if you wanted to dive deeper with me, the best thing is to book a discovery call, because if you're Bizology curious, then I look at your chart, you tell me what's going on in your life and business top line, we marry the two, and then I share ways with you in which you can work with me.
Perfect. I think that is an absolute Bobby Dazzler of a roundup of what people need to know. And yeah, my big one would be, you absolutely do need to know these numbers, because these numbers are your everything. These numbers are the foundations of making life so much bloody easier, so much more aligned, so much more flow, and you can just get rid of a whole load of resistance.
Thank you for doing this, Emma. It's been
absolute pleasure. So on that note, josoley.com will get you to find out your life path number and your personal year. You can do that. It's absolutely free. If you want to dive into your whole DNA, book a call with Jo. She's got a free Facebook group. Go hang out in there. If you're a groupie type of person, we know that not everyone is, and that's totally fine. And yeah, make sure that you start that little journey if you haven't already. Thank you ever so much for your time, Jo. I think that has opened the door for lots of people to find out a little bit more what it's all about and what it does. And, you know, it's, like I said, numerology is interesting. Bizology is fascinating.
Thank you.